So let's take a look at concept check number 1. This was the verifying identities one. So reminder of some hints. First of all, noticing that all these are in different things like sines and cosines and tangents. Get things into like terms. So I'm going to start by changing things to sines and cosines. So secant is 1 over cosine. 1 over secant is cosine because they're reciprocals of one another, and that's what a reciprocal is. So this is going to be minus cosine equals, and I'm going to do the same thing on the right-hand side. I'm not going to write equals. I'm just going to replace the right-hand side so I have it ready. So this is going to be sine times sine over cosine, because that's what tangent is. I'm going to finish this right-hand side and just rewrite this as a single fraction. So I'm just simplifying. By timesing the fraction, I get sine squared on top, and I get cosine on bottom. So the right-hand side is really simple in blue there. But the left-hand side is a fraction minus cosine. So we need to simplify the left-hand side and then see where that takes us. So the left-hand side is a subtraction problem. The right-hand side is a single fraction. So I need the left-hand side to be a single fraction. So I'm going to start with that. So I need common denominators. I put the cosine over 1 because that now makes it a fraction. And I see that the denominator I need is cosine. So to change the second fraction, I'm going to do cosine over cosine to make it a common denominator. Now here's where you would pause the video, try this, and see where that takes you. I will finish solving the problem right now, but if you try this, you might be surprised that you'll get it on your own. So now let's continue on with the solution. We end up getting 1 on top of this fraction still. But on the other fraction, I'm going to get cosine squared also over cosine. So I'm going to put it into one fraction already. So I'm going to have minus cosine squared. And that would be over cosine as well. But again, I'm trying to put this into one fraction, so I'm kind of combining steps here. Now I take a look at where I'm headed. Remember where I'm headed. And I see some good things. I see cosine x on the bottom already over here. So this is promising. Sorry about all the bells. I'm running out of time here. So we have cosine on the bottom, but on the top I want sine squared. So I think, what identity can I use? Well, I know to introduce sine squared, I can replace this 1 here with sine squared plus cosine squared of x, of course. And I still have minus cosine squared of x. And I still have a denominator of cosine of x. So now I see where I'm headed and I'm almost done. The cosine x's cancel, leaving me with sine squared x over cosine x. And I'm finished with the first question because I've met somewhere in the middle and I've shown the two sides are equal. So now let's take a look at question 2. Okay, so just to summarize, one thing, we're changing things to sines and cosines. It's typically a great strategy. There are like 2 other really good ways to solve number 1. This is just the way I think everyone can learn. Okay, so you might have tried a different way but got stuck. So here's another way that might get you less stuck. Second thing we did was we combined fractions into 1. We're going to do that again on this next problem. So again, I want to recommend that you take a look at this next problem and you try to get it started on your own. So try those 2 strategies. Get common denominators over here and change things to sines and cosines on the right. So let's get the right-hand side started. That's going to be fast. 1 over cosine is secant, and 1 over sine is cosecant. This simplifies in multiplying the fractions to 1 over cosine sine. So that's as simple as I'm going to get on the right-hand side. But the left-hand side, I need to get common denominators and make these fractions into 1, because again, I have 1 fraction over here. So I see the common denominator will be sine and cosine because I need both of them. So I times the first fraction by sine over sine. I times the second fraction by cosine over cosine. And I simplify. On the top I get sine squared of x over sine cosine. That's the first fraction. The second fraction I get cosine squared of x over sine cosine. Now I'm ready to put the fractions together. So these fractions will really just be sine cosine squared, plus cosine squared, excuse me, all over sine cosine. And remember, my goal I'm looking at my goal and I see I'm really close because I have cosine sine on bottom just like I want. But I want 1 on top. Look at what we have. Pythagorean identity. 1 over sine cosine. Which is the same as 1 over cosine sine. Multiplicative property. You can multiply in any order. It's commutative. So they're equivalent. And we're done. So that's your identities for questions 1 and 2 on your concept check number 1. Thanks for watching, and hopefully that gave you some more ideas. But number 1 is getting those common denominators in order to add fractions. If we're trying to add fractions, we need common denominators. So that's usually what you'll do to clean things up to make it a single fraction.